David and Ian, thank you so much for adding to today's conversation and providing a broader context for our discussion. I'm sure our audience appreciated your keen analysis of the market. Now, to accelerate our conversation this morning, let's switch gears to discuss MEF's projects on edge computing and the relationship to MEF's current activities in orchestrated carrier Ethernet, SD-WAN, and SASE. For that, MEF CTO Pascal Menezes joins us once again.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episodes at the Edge. What a great topic. Such great innovations happening here at the Edge, and edge computing is going to drive digital transformation to all kinds of new use cases. So let's just get started right away. Number one, as you know, with the advancements of the edge computing, we're going to see all kinds of new low latency applications, specifically around 5G. The ability of 5G to enable that edge is huge, and stay tuned for that. And the next episode will be coming a lot in 5G, so I won't spend a ton of time. But basically, number one, I think a very big area is the idea of smart glasses are going to merge, and what you're going to get a glimpse of is in the future, the next 5 years, that edge is going to play a very, very critical role for the usage and the use cases around smart glasses. That's extended reality. And you're going to see there are already chipsets coming out in this area. There's already a lot of innovation. And as we know it, the mobile device will move away into smart glasses that you put on regular glasses that will have both augmented reality, virtual reality, all kinds of innovations. As you turn, look, the edge is interacting with you with all that compute as to what's going on and what you're looking at and all that inference. So these are very, very important areas. Another area that's growing a big growth about the edge is IoT, and specifically surveillance. Surveillance is playing a very, very critical role because massive amount of bandwidth are going to be streaming from all these video surveillance cameras. And at the edge, they're going to be taking these surveillance and doing video analytics and processing that and deciding what to do with all that information. So another great use case that's driving the edge and a reason for having analytics at the edge. Also, we're seeing smart manufacturing emerging. It's really projected to be close to a $3.94 trillion economy itself. Robots and manufacturing have to be driven by AI ML, and that's going to need AI ML at the edge. So really, really critical use case also. Another area that's driving the edge is really cloud native microservices applications. And these are distributed applications built with microservice components. And they really have a service mesh connected to them. There's a sidecar in the containers and the pods of all these microservice applications. And that's going to drive the need also for the edge itself to have this platform for a distributed computing environment, a distributed cloud in a way, and very, very powerful innovation that's emerging in this area. So really, what is MEF working in at this edge? As I said before in previous episodes, we've been covering this underlay, and I'll recap it in a second here, showing you how the edge plays in this underlay and this automated high-speed fabric underlay. We've been talking about this very agile, programmable, policy-driven application where overlay SD-WAN. We're doing a lot of work in MEF in that area. We're also doing a ton of work in this managed security area, specifically managed network security around SASE, as you know, is a very hot topic. Zero trust we're working on, and we're planning to expand onto XDR. So that's going to be a very important area. So these are really critical roles. But today I'm going to talk specifically about what is MEF doing at the edge. And the edge is absolutely very critical for digital transformation. So let's just get in the details. What exactly is MEF doing at the edge, and why is it so important that we get this right? And it's important that we, network transformation is the underpinning for digital transformation. And I've said this many times. And at MEF, we are really addressing this underpinning network transformation, and the edge plays a critical role. So let's just get into all the great things we're doing at the edge. Number one, as you can see, we've been working on these commercial automated APIs between providers. I talked about this in the past. We have today in the ecosystem, many service providers around the globe connected at their data plane, connected with their networks at the 10 gigabits to 400 gigabits to 800 gigabits emerging. And this very high-speed fabric, global fabric, is interconnected at massive rates, unlike the internet. And this is the foundational backbone of all these providers connected together that then enables these edges, no matter what part of the globe to the other part of the globe, to be connected with this high-speed fabric, then to overlay on top of that all those SD-WAN overlay services. And what we're doing at MEF is to enable that edge, not only for automation from that edge, in the way of turning up that underlay services at those edges to all those various local loops, whether it be carry Ethernet today, IP broadband DIA, IP MPLS, 5G, fixed wireless access. All those underlay loops really have to be turned up. But what you're really seeing the trend is basically that instead of using the internet as a backbone for overlaying, we're seeing that the edge is where you bring in all these accesses from all these different access loop technologies, put an SD-WAN overlay and get to the edge right there with edge computing, and then hit the SASE cloud. And then from there, wherever it needs to go, it uses this very high-speed backbone of managed networks that's being invested from all these service providers for decades, and cloud providers that have direct connections at 10 to 400 to 800 gig rates like I talk about. And this is the critical aspects from edge to edge, anywhere in the world using a very high-speed fabric. And at MEF, we've been doing all that commercial innovation to really allow that automation capabilities of these edges to talk really both at the access layer and the local loop layer and between these providers. Another critical area that we're doing at the edge also is this idea of facing the enterprise. More and more we're seeing the need that these enterprise want automation APIs, especially these multinationals, big, large corporations, want automation APIs so that they can talk to the edge or the nearest edge even, find the nearest edge for nearest address location, ask what is the edge that's capable of compute resources, APIs, and so on, and then basically look for a price quote and then order that and then instantiate all its needs of operational services. So things like what we've been working on is all of this is taking that Sonata APIs that we've been doing into providing and now taking all that API work of commercial APIs and facing the enterprise now so they can buy, get quotes, order for anything, not just carry Ethernet or IP broadband, but SD-WAN and SASE, but also edge computing is a very important area. Maybe they want voice services, maybe they want a bitstream kind of services, and who knows what else they want, AI services and so on. And all of that, they want to be able to automate and order that from their edge. So at MEF, stay tuned, we'll be releasing our first Cantata release in our upcoming SDK release called Billy in May that will have all the work and innovation we've done with Sonata APIs put into Cantata facing the enterprise for that commercial aspect. Additionally, we're seeing enterprises need and require the ability that once they get and they've ordered their edge compute and what they need and to access the SD-WAN and the SASE environments and so on and their clouds, they also want to maybe instantiate, put software bits into that edge on their own, and that needs a lifecycle service capabilities of that edge. They also will want to maybe call in APIs of platform as a service, or serverless computing, function as a service. All of these needs are going to be delivered from the edge, and this is very, very critical. And so here at MEF, we're now working on the commercial aspects, as you see with Cantata, but we're also working with Allegro and looking about how we'll enable Allegro APIs, which are the operational aspects after the commercial aspects of that automation is done. So that's kind of the two major areas we're working on in automation for the edge. But let me continue more about what we are doing at the edge in the way of end-to-end slicing and how that ties into 5G. Obviously, the edge will be enabled with 5G fixed wireless access from the public side, but there's a ton of innovation happening with private 5G. And why is private 5G so important? It's really, really this simple. At the enterprise sites, and especially industrial sites where robots are involved or robotics, or very, very mission critical IoT devices that have to do with manufacturing or industrial processes, they are very, very critical for real-time processing. And at those edges, basically wireless is going to be used, specifically 5G, to give deterministic airtime, fairness, and guarantees. And as you know, slicing is a very, very great technology innovation on 5G, and that will also be enabled at the edge, at these enterprise sites, at these industrial sites, manufacturing sites. And with that 5G, these devices will have 5G interface cards attached to them, whether it be, as you see, robots, or it could be, real-time collaboration systems. It could be even all these IoT kind of devices like environmental devices and so on. But all of these will want to attach to the 5G, private 5G in that space, get a slice that guarantees the performance objectives, and then hit the nearest edge at that site, whether it be even at an industrial site or an office and so on. And at that edge, SD-WAN will play a critical role. And then from there, that SD-WAN will take that and map that into a set of overlay policies and then get across the wide area network. And then you'll see this idea of SD-WAN playing very, very critical role of private 5G with slicing in that private 5G. So this is a very, very important role. Now, MEF is taking this one step further. We're not only taking the slicing that's really designed for 5G, but we're really applying it for end-to-end slicing. Now, if you have not seen, I encourage you to go to our MEF proof of concepts, and you'll see a lot of great proof of concepts that have been demoed, and it's on demand. You can go see it anytime, and you'll see a lot of end-to-end use case these end-to-end slicing use cases and a very critical role of that is really how do you enable the slice at the enterprise level or the industrial level to then continue to be used all the way throughout into the transport layers, even in the 5G core and beyond, into other ecosystem providers. And what you're seeing is that slice is being used by the endpoints to attach to it, and then it's when it hits an SD-WAN edge, the SD-WAN edge puts an overlay on top of that end-to-end slice, treating that end-to-end slice like an underlay. And then additionally, that SD-WAN edge could also then put an overlay across the internet for a backup or offload on non-mission critical application directly right onto the internet and not use that end-to-end slice and only reserve that for line of business applications. So, very, very great use cases. At MEF, we're defining not only the end-to-end slice framework and architecture, but we're also defining basically the end-to-end slice profiles. And these profiles are based and built upon the 3GPP, the GSMA, the IETF work. But at MEF, we've defined this as an end-to-end slice profile with specific performance objectives and in the future, maybe even security objectives. And this will be very, very powerful. So with that, we're also working on another big innovation I'm currently incubating, and I hope you agree and join in, is this need for not only having the ability to look at SD-WAN and from the enterprise the user network interface demarcation point, but also more and more enterprises want service providers to manage the LAN environment or the branch environment or home environment and look at that end-to-end view so that it's not just a user to network interface to the actual service, but it's really from the device interface point all the way to the service. So now more and more enterprises want, especially the small to medium enterprises, but now even the larger enterprises are asking for managed services in the LAN, in the branch, and so on. So we're now looking at how can we extend all the work we've done in MEF around SD-WAN and then enable specifically SD-LAN and SD-branch, SD-home, all these scenarios. And this is very, very critical. And top of mind is really in these branches, in these LANs, is not only managing the Wi-Fi or the private 5G, very critical, turning up the slices, managing the radio access, and so on, but it's also very critical that there's a lot of these IoT devices, and they will have to be managed and secure because these IoT devices are inherently can have security vulnerabilities. And you're in our new up-and-coming MEF-CECP SD-WAN specification at that site edge, we'll have these idea of zones. And there at these zones, we'll have security zones that will push these IoT devices and fingerprint these IoT devices into the right security zone, the right posture. And then also, as I talked about, these zones could be to act as a classification engines for defining from that device what slice they were on for performance. and then handle that on the wide area front with these overlay SD-WAN overlays for performance objectives of the application. And then with a SASE cloud, they can also be currently future-wise mapped into the right SASE security postures in the security cloud at the edge. So the edge is incredible innovation. I want to thank you for joining. Please get involved. We're doing a ton of work of underlays, overlays, managed security, and now at edge services. So take care and have a great day.